Our 20s are a wild ride of change. We move cities, we switch jobs. There are literally so many things that we need to figure out in our 20s. So how should we then find the one in all of the chaos that we're going through? And if we did, how do we actually keep him or her? It seems pretty common that many young adults in their 20s face all kinds of challenges in their love life. So if you're watching this, you're not alone. And trust me, it's been a ride for me as well. This is why I spoke with Nicole. She is a therapist based in Los Angeles and has already helped many couples overcome relationship issues. So today we'll dive into 8 things that can help you to find and, if you wish, to keep love in your 20s. I split these into 3 things how you can find love and 5 things how you can keep love, so feel free to skip to whatever part is most interesting to you. Step 1, figure out who you want to be.
The best way to kind of look at dating in your 20s is to kind of look at it as a mirror for you and for your growth, for you to understand yourself, for you to learn about yourself. Sometimes I'll have a client come into my practice and they'll say like, okay, here's my list of all the things that I want in a partner. But they're not asking themselves, who is it that I want to be? How do I want to show up in the world? Once you create that understanding, which a lot of people are still kind of like experimenting with and trying on different versions of themselves in their 20s, once that kind of starts to crystallize a little bit more, it becomes easier to figure out who will support me in being who I want to be. What kind of characteristics of someone are going to bring out the best in me and make me feel the way that I want to be feeling in a relationship.
Step 2. What kind of relationship do you want to have?
Some relationships are harder than others, and some relationships are easier. And kind of becoming clear on, are you okay with having a harder relationship, something that's more challenging, or are you really craving something that is easier? I think that's really important to be able to separate.
Step 3, what kind of stuff do you want to deal with?
Every relationship, every person has stuff. And when you're in a relationship with someone, you're also in a relationship with their stuff. And your stuff and their stuff is also in a relationship with each other. And so when you're dating, a big question to kind of ask yourself as you're exploring is, what kind of stuff do I want to deal with and what kind of stuff do I not want to deal with?
Okay, so once we maybe figured out these 3 questions and maybe have found someone, how do we actually go from there and then build a lasting and maybe even perfect relationship? Step 1. Meet each other's needs.
It's about sort of listening, being present to what it is that your partner is wanting from you and asking yourself, is this aligned with who I want to be and how I want to feel? And if it is, then meet their needs, give that to them. And that's, I think, how couples can heal. I think that's how they can feel fulfilled by each other, met by one another. I think sometimes couples can go into this is right and this is wrong, and this is how it should be, and this is how it should be. And there's really no such thing. I think it's just more of, hey, what are your needs and what are my needs, and are we willing to meet those needs with one another? So if you're like, I need to cuddle like for 100% of the time, and they're like, I need to cuddle like 20% of the time, it's like, can you guys meet at 60% and you still feel like you're getting what you need in the relationship and they still feel like they're honoring their independence? So it's really a question of like, can you guys bridge the gap? And your needs are the things that are like, if I don't have this, I don't know how I'm gonna move forward with you. Your wants are the things that are like, it can be there, but it can also not be there. But wants are also important because I think wants are kind of like all the toppings on the ice cream. They're all the things that make life fun and sparkle and worth living. Your wants are the things that make life full.
And how do we do that without maybe completely overwhelming the other person with all of our wants and needs, like all of our expectations that we have towards the other person?
Some of the intentions that you can set before the conversation are like loving energy. How do I show up with loving energy? How do I show up with curiosity and calmness? And how do I at the same time show up firm in what it is that I want and honest about what it is that I want?
Step 2, build a communication skill.
I've really found that each couple has their own way of skillfully communicating, lovingly communicating, and being firm in their communication. And that's kind of what happens after the honeymoon phase, is that couples start to talk about their differences and challenging things, and you see the contrast between them. And it's really about creating a system during that time of how to communicate in a way that feels good for both of you. So what I found, for example, is like, if you're expressing that you need something from your partner or you want something from your partner, like, there is a way to say that and using certain language that will resonate with your partner more than if you were to say it to somebody else, or that might work for a different couple. And so part of it is kind of learning how to talk about difficult things together. That's huge for a healthy relationship. Essentially, it's a lot of like trial and error. At first, it might just be about noticing the things that trigger you. If your partner and you are talking about something difficult and they use a certain word or a certain phrase that might trigger something for you from your childhood or from a previous relationship, it's important in those moments to kind of just pause. I like to tell my clients, like, take some healthy space, whether it's 10 minutes, an hour, even 24 hours, to just like sit with like, whoa, I just felt something in my body react. Like, let me sit with this and try to figure out, first of all, like, what is it? What did it make me feel? And what was the story I told myself about it? And what am I needing from my partner moving forward in how he or she communicates, so that this kind of flows a little bit better. I like to use the formula, when you do X and then you insert your partner's behavior, I feel Y, and you insert your emotion. So when you say that you thought my comment about the refrigerator was stupid, I felt small. And the story I told myself was that you think I'm stupid. And what I need from you in the future is to not use that word when we are having a conversation about something that's difficult.
Step 3, figure out each other's sorry languages.
There are love languages, but there are also sorry languages. There are ways in which we need to feel like our partner is really sorry for what they did. And so that might look like showing regret for what they did, showing remorse for what they did, and making it up to your partner, showing them that you care through some kind of action. And that helps make things feel more balanced again.
A lot of couples lose connection along the way. They kind of lose this emotional intimacy with each other because they don't take time to deeply connect with one another. Actually, the average duration of a relationship right now is about 2 years and 9 months. So step number 4 is to build a routine and to make time and space to actually deeply connect with each other. And therefore, Nicole has shared 7 weekly questions with me that you can do together with your partner every week.
Question number 1 is, what is it that you appreciate about one another that came up this week? And also asking your partner, what do they want to be recognized for or appreciated for in the relationship? And this will also help you have a sense of what to appreciate them for in the future. Question number 2 is opportunities for growth. Where are there things that we can do better as a couple? And this is not a time to blame each other. This is using that skill that I was talking about earlier around, like, when you do this, I feel this, and this is the impact that it's having on me, and how do we kind of work through that together. Number 3 is celebrating your wins. So how did you guys crush it this week? Whether it's individual goals or goals as a couple. Question number 4 is about sex. What are some of the desires? What are some of the do's? What are some of the don'ts? Some couples I've found, they like to be told in the bedroom while things are happening what they do and don't like. And some couples have found that it's better to talk about these things when they're not in the moment and when they're just both of their bodies have calmed down and they're able to have a more dispassionate conversation about it. Number 5 is planning fun things to do. So taking action right away to kind of set up fun things for that week together in order to connect and have that quality time together. Number 6 is goals and vision for the year. It could be for the month, it could be, but I tend to like to think of goals for year 1, 3, and 5. The last question is a challenge check-in. So If your partner decided they wanted to do like a 30-day yoga challenge, this is a way to kind of hold each other accountable and check in and ask each other like, hey, how are you doing on that? How can I support you with that?
Step 5, deal with doubts.
When you're dating someone, you will typically put that person that you're dating in one of 3 categories as you're kind of getting to know them better. So the first category is if you're dating someone and they feel like a yes. Like everything in my body is like, this person is such a yes for me. And the second one is that the person feels like a maybe. And the third one is that the person feels like a no. I think what I found is that for people who are dating and they feel like their partner is a yes, that is a major resiliency factor for them in the future. That is going to keep them together longer. What I found with people that are in the beginning a maybe, so if you're having doubts about them, at a certain point, if your maybe doesn't turn into a yes, it's a no. And for people that are constantly dating someone that is a no, they keep coming back to the person that is a no, I think it's worth you reflecting and really looking at whether it's with a therapist or a coach or somebody that can be sort of like an unbiased space for you and a safe space for you to explore what is it about this that it's really something in you that needs to be explored and kind of figure it out, because I can understand the frustration of constantly coming back to someone that feels like a no. I do think that some attachment styles also impact how much doubt we experience in a relationship. And so, for example, I think avoidant attachment or anxious avoidant attachment it can tend to have a lot of doubt, and that isn't about who you're dating. That's a you thing. That's something for you to explore and really look at. Like, are these actual legitimate doubts that you're having, or is this a deeper fear of intimacy and connection that is making you look for things that are wrong with your partner?
And lastly, I asked Nicole what the 3 biggest reasons are why relationships fail for people in their 20s.
One of the major reasons that relationships fail is lack of skills. So lack of whether it's communication skills or coping skills, and then lack of knowing yourself, lack of understanding your own limits, your own boundaries, your voice, your preferences, understanding who you are versus who everybody else is, and not becoming super enmeshed in the people that are around you. And then number 3, I think, is that people are changing, like I said, it's just so much in their 20s. And I think it's a beautiful thing that and I think that's exactly what we're meant to do. We're meant to evolve, we're meant to change, but it can make relationships harder.
So I hope these tips have at least helped one person out there. And I know that love and relationships are definitely a super complicated topic, and Rylas has probably not answered all of your questions. I hope that you could take away some little bits and snippets from this video. Me and Nicole will also cover more topics around love and relationships in the future, like how to deal with heartbreak in your 20s, the role of sex and intimacy, as well as how to deal with loneliness. So stay tuned for that. Also, a huge thank you again to Nicole for sharing all of her advice. If you did enjoy this video, I'd be super grateful if you'd subscribe to my channel. It just helps to spread this advice for more people in their 20s. And I hope to see you very soon in one of my next videos.